So FLab 4 just got published. It's got the file in it that we're going to be working from today. It's arguably a little less complicated than the one we did last time. The only thing that makes it less complicated, though, is the fact that it doesn't have any fillets in it, so that's not too bad. Um, let's see if I can stretch this out in a way that will let you see it, but not lose the screen any. Definitely probably aren't going to be able to see the measurements on here, but you can see what it is that I'm looking at, and the sheet itself has been uploaded to Canvas, so you can access it by looking inside of here. But this one's really going to be probably a 4-step project. So it's going to be 4 different components that make up the shape that we're going to do here. And looks like this. So we're going to start with my probably top pane first, which means I'm essentially going to draw this shape exactly as I see it, except I'm probably not going to draw this part here, these rectangles that make up the kind of wedge block shapes that are in here. And we'll save that for a later step because it is a little easier. You know what? Actually, I take that back. We are going to do the draw those part right now, and it's actually going to make this a little bit simpler because it's going to only have 3 steps instead of the 4 that I said before. So, like the normal process that we've been doing, we're going to start with a rectangle. So create a sketch on the top plane, and then choose the rectangle tool to start with. And a rectangle is 2 inches tall and 1 3/4, so 1.75 wide. Zoom that in so we can see the whole thing. And since we're starting with the rectangle tool, I might as well go ahead, excuse me, and do the rest of the rectangles that we need first. So I'm going to start the rectangle command again, and in the upper left hand corner of my first rectangle is where I'm going to start this. I'm just going to move my mouse across until I get to 1.75. It'll snap to the other side, and type 0.25 in the vertical measurement. Press enter. So the next rectangle we're going to do is going to look a little confusing, but because the first thing I'm going to do is draw a rectangle that's simply there for scaffolding. So I'm going to do 0.75 for the height and 0.5 for the width. So that makes a rectangle that really takes up essentially this whole area right here. Why can't I zoom? There we go. So basically a rectangle that would take up this whole area right here. And then instead of doing another rectangle, I'm just going to find the midpoint of that. So you can see how I have the X and then the blue triangle pops up above it. So I'm going to click on that and to divide it. That's all I'm going to do for that part. I'm not even going to trim this out because I don't need to. And you can do the same thing on the other side, but I'm going to try something. I'm going to select that set that we just finished. I'm going to choose Modify, and I'm going to click on the Move Copy tool. I don't know why this thing always comes in like, there we go. I'm going to either scroll down in this little Move Copy dialog or mess with it until it expands the full height. And I'm going to choose Create a Copy. And I'm going to click on the upper right hand side of the shape that we did. Um, Free move. Where is the... Okay. So it wants the pivot to be in another place. Let's just click and drag and see what happens. Okay, I don't like that, so I'm going to undo it. And try it one more time. So move copy. I'm going to click on this corner and see if that changes. No, this time it didn't change again. Okay. So what I'm not sure how to do that I can do in the other program pretty easily is determine which point is going to be my handle or my center point, which is this thing right here. There we go. Oh well, so I'm going to grab this handle and pull this direction, and I guess I'm going to type 1.25 in, and that'll move it to the other side. So I'm not 100% sure if that was the easier way to do that or not, but, and I didn't mean to finish that sketch either. So don't finish sketch if you did. If you did finish the sketch too early, all you have to do is click this drop down here next to sketches and double click on the one that we're doing. So like I said, I'm not sure if that was the easier way, other than just drawing it on the other side, simply because I couldn't choose what the origin was. If I could have chosen this, I could have just dragged it over and snapped it right there. Anyway, the other two things that we need to do to finish the sketch is fillet. So we look at our drawing here and can notice that I seemingly neglected to put the diameter of the fillets on here. So we're going to just go ahead and click those. And the diameter for this is, I believe, supposed to be 2. But that's wrong. That must be 1. That's wrong too. It must just be 0.5. Yeah. Because I remember making this. So the diameter of the circle in the center is the same as the radius, although that was not supposed to be something that was... it was not. It was supposed to be there. I just forgot to put it in the drawing. Okay. Last thing is to put the circles in. 0.5 from the center mark of those fillets. 0.5. There we go. And now we can click that finish sketch earlier I meant to do and forgot. I did it the wrong time. Okay, so once I finish the sketch, all I need to do is click on... okay, fantastic. We can click on the extrude button here. And we're going to click, so it's hard to see, but it's there. Like when I'm inside of a closed shape, there's kind of a very slight greenish tinge that shows up until you click on it. So what I want to do is click on all of the shapes except for the circles, because everything but the circles have substance.
Wait, Mr. Brumbaugh?
Yeah.
I got lost at the fillet part.
Okay, no, that's completely reasonable because I was not doing a good job explaining it. So, here, I'll just take it back from where we were. There. Oh, and there. Okay. So you load up the fillet tool, which is the first icon under modify. I think you can also just press F. And then what I'm going to do is click on this vertical line here and this horizontal line. And then the diameter, or like the number you type in, is 0.5. And that's where I was being super confusing earlier. And then once you do that, I'm just going to click on the bottom line again, and then the vertical one on the other side. It remembers that last measurement, so I'm just going to press enter. And then for the last shapes, we're going to start up the circle and choose those black dots that are the center point If this was a full circle, that would be the center point of it, of the radiuses. And we're going to put zero point 0.5 for the diameter. And we're going to do that for both of them. And then finish the sketch. Click extrude, and we're clicking inside of everything except for the circles. So it's blue like this. Okay. Now before I click OK or type in a dimension here, know that I want this to go down. So I clicked on the handle and pulled down on it. But what we're actually, the only reason I did that is to show you that when we type our number in, it's going to be a negative number. So we're trying to create the thickness of this bottom section right here. Excuse me. And that thickness is going to be 0.25. So we're typing in negative 0.25 inches, and then we're going to click OK. And what we're left with is a slab that makes up basically the bottom shape of this. But the problem with that is that we are now missing some of those other drawings that we did. So we're going to come over here to our sketches, just like we did if we had to reactivate it. But instead of double clicking on sketch 1, or whatever the name is for your first sketch, you're going to click on the eyeball next to it. And that's going to turn the sketch back on so we can use it again. For this one, we're going to click on extrude again. And we're going to click on that back long rectangle and the two inside rectangles. And this time we're going to type a positive number for this, and that's 1.25. Once that's been extruded up like this, we can turn off that sketch by clicking the eyeball again. And then all we have left are two very simple operations. And we're going to do the simplest one first, which is to click on this vertical wall that we've just created and create a sketch on it. And then easiest operation so far, we're going to click on the bottom corner right here. It'll snap. And we're going to move up to this upper corner here. Not the outermost one, but this one here. It'll snap into that place. And we're going to click Finish Sketch. Extrude. You can see I can click on either side of these. I want to click on this side. And then I'm not even going to type anything. I'm just going to click on the arrow and drag through both sides and click OK. So that makes everything done except for this kind of oval shape that's cut out of the back of it. So in order to do that, I'm going to flip this around so I'm looking at the back of it. And I'm going to create a sketch on the back.
Excuse me, how tall was it again?
We extruded up 1.25 inches from this surface, so the whole thing should be 1.5 inches. But you're typing in 1.25 inches. Sorry, I'm confusing. All right, so all right, so I'll hold for a second while you guys get caught up. I wonder. Slot. Ooh, cool. It does. Makes that even easier. Zoom in on this. Alright, so the way to put this slot in is incredibly easy. We just have to find a certain starting point. So we're going to start off with the line command. I'm going to confuse myself when the construction line option, there it is. Click on the construction line. And remember, that creates a dashed line that has no bearing on the rest of the shape. It's just there to support the placement of something else. And I'm going to type 3 what did I press? Okay, there we go. I'm going to type 3/8 in. Oh, sorry. I'm going to first find the midpoint of this line, which is the X with the triangle over it. Then I'm going to pull or start a line, pull down, and type 3/8. 3/8 and press enter. Or 0.375. So that's the center part of this upper half circle here. And instead of using the circle command, we could use the circle command to create this, but there's actually an even easier tool in here for this. So we're going to click on the drop down below create. Excuse me. We're going to come down to slot, and we're going to choose a center to center slot. And click on the end of that line. Come down and type 0.5 to press enter. And then the next thing it's going to let us do, oh, I forgot to turn off, here, let me do that again. Let me turn off construction line first. Create, slot, center to center. Click on the bottom of our construction line, and then come down 0.5. There we go. And it's wanting a diameter here, but the sheet gives us a radius, so we just have to double it, which means 0.25. And press enter. With that, all I have to do is click Finish Sketch, extrude one final time, choose the inside of the circle, and just drag through the shape. So the whole point of this, and the reason that I've been showing you step by step like this is, honestly, once you get into this program and you're comfortable with it, as long as the shape is right in the end, it doesn't really matter how you go about doing it. But if you start breaking it down into manageable chunks, so starting with just this platform here, and then pulling up for the back piece, and then just cutting this down, excuse me, by starting with a line. Like, there are many other ways you can do this, but you just have to find the one that works, that first works for you. Secondly, you're comfortable with doing, and third, that makes sense to your brain. For me, chunking it out into smaller pieces works for me. For other people, it may make sense to start off by extruding out a cube. Or not a cube, but a rectangular prism that is 1.5 by, 1.5 by 2, I think it was. And then working like you're chiseling a statue out of granite. So if I was to do that, I would make the cube, and then I would make this shape here and extrude it down. Then the circles, and go all the way through that. That step would still look the same. I'd still have to cut them by making a negative shape to cut through it. But there are a bunch of different ways to do this. So that's what I'm trying to get at. What I'm trying to teach you by showing you a specific way to do it is to give you, well, first off, the benefit of what works for me. But secondly, there has to be some way that it gets done, and this is just the way that I happen to do it. But anyway, So I didn't follow my own rules at the beginning and save it before I started working on it. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. 04. And obviously you have to save it anyway in order to turn it in. Um, and what I told you guys last time did work. I was able to grade assignments by just opening the Fusion tab in my Canvas grader. So when you go to turn this in, let's see, click on Home real quick. So if you're doing it, most of you are, but if you're doing this in the web version, don't forget you have to go to what was it? Access Teams. Sorry. And this will also work if you're using the desktop version and you save it to the cloud. Why did you make me reset my password? Okay, whatever. Now I'm never going to remember that. Or remember that I've changed it. There we go. Alright, and then we'll come into robotics and my folder. Find lab 4. Share. Copy the link. Come back into Canvas. Go to submit for the proper assignment and paste the URL in. You are Ellen. You're Ellen.
What tool did you use to make the oval?
Okay.
Was it one of the different circle options, or was it a line option?
It actually is a slot tool. So let me come back in here and look at it again. Flip around to the side I want to see. And I'll go ahead and delete it so we can do it again. Oops. What was that measurement? 3/8?
It was 0.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So under Create, when you click on that drop down, one of the options is Slot. And I use the center to center slot option. And then all you have to do is click on the starting center point, which is the bottom of that line we drew. Tell it how far down the next center point is, which is a half of an inch according to our drawing. And then tell it the width of the slot. So in this case, twice 1/8, so it'd be 1/4. And then enter.
Okay.
It's like I knew it
Easier than making ovals the way
yeah.
I used to.
Well, and I mean, so that tool is in both Fusion and the other programs that I've utilized, and there are a couple other options in here too for drawing things like that. But they're just in a different place than they are in the program that I'm most familiar with, which is Inventor. So that in Inventor, it's a part of the circle commands. So it's just that is the big. I keep saying this, but well, more in the CAD class than in here. But the biggest problem I have with Fusion is that it likes to come at things backwards from the way that the other standard drafting programs do, or it puts things just in slightly confusing spots if you're used to using a different program. Which it's a good thing that most of you guys are learning from the get go in Fusion, but it's one of the things that I have to wrap my head around because it is different than what I'm used to. Like I've mentioned it before, but that's Fusion, and the thing that I find more powerful, and it's probably just because, again, it's what I know better, is Inventor. But it has absolutely no web version of it, and they have no plans on doing something like that because they have Fusion. And there are a lot of industries that this is what they know how to use, And if you take that away from them, like, they would lose a lot of money, which is probably the only reason that the company continues to produce this software. But like, they've even started making them look alike. Like the icons are similar.
Yeah,
Not
they are. They're both of them are on the STEM laptops, Inventor and Fusion, and it's just an I instead of an F in that weird format.
right. So like, this is the interface for Inventor. I mean, the background looks the same. The extrude icon, the different sketch icons are the same, but there's just much more of them, and it makes more sense the way that it's set up here. But anyway, oh yeah, there's definitely there we go. It's like, what is wrong with my screen? Oh, not making a good showing of proving that I know how to use this program because I keep misclicking things. There we go. So like, this is your starting point in Inventor. The planes make more sense to me because they aren't connected directly to the view cube like they are in Fusion, but that's the same top view. Like here, I can quickly knock out that exact same project that we just did. What was it? 2 tall and 1.75 wide. Um, Filleted here, and let's see here. What was it? zero point 0.5 there, and there, and there. Like, I don't have to restart the command to do the next piece. Um, Misclicked. I'm going to assume that half of my problems today are the fact that I'm not using the mouse that I normally use. There to there, tab 0.25. In some places, though, Fusion is a little bit easier for the simple fact that one of the things that it's really not going to like that I'm about to do is so 3.75. Actually, I take that back. Um, they did change this in the last version. So one of the things I had us do was to just draw a rectangle and then divide it with a line. And before the last version of the program, that wouldn't work. You had to have fully closed shapes, um, but they have changed that recently, like I said. So there is the thing we just did. Extrude. There. So anyway, I mean, it's all the same. It's just it's what you know and how you come at it. And one of the things that we do as a part of the actual CAD class is we look at all four of the major CAD softwares. We look at AutoCAD, which is 2D, Fusion 360, Inventor, and then most years we also look at a software called SolidWorks, so that when you get to college or when you move into um, the rest of the like, if you work in industry or go to an internship, then you have some experience with all of it, and you can look at the different ways that things are put together, and at least have some idea how to operate in those environments. Um, but again, with robotics, this is the easiest solution to have because everybody can use it, and then we don't have to install special software for the most part to make it work. But anyway, um, that's probably enough of my rambling on this subject. We've got about, what, 10 minutes, 8 minutes left for class. So let's go ahead and get that turned in. And then when you're finished with that, I would say that we're probably good to go for today. And we'll see most of you in person over the course of next week. Next week is going to, even if you're in the classroom, we're going to work a little bit more with this. But like I said, we're going to start looking at assemblies and putting actual robot parts together in the program. Um, specifically with the goal of getting a build plan together for actually building a robot for those of you that are in person. And then you'll work, if you're remote, we'll work in a group setting over Zoom with the groups that are building. But I still need to figure out the logistics of that based on what time people are. Says I need to scan a QR code for Fusion 360. Um, if you could send me a picture of that, Justin, I'm not sure what that
Actually,
even means.
I think our class is over because I know that school ends at 11, and I'm pretty sure our next class starts at 9:15. So it goes to 10, then there's a 15-minute break, and then it's from 10:15 to 11 for our
I
final
think you're
class.
right. So, alrighty. Well, 10:05
Well,
or
Fusion's finally
9:05.
working on this computer, so engineering should be fun.
Yeah. 9:10 is when it's over. I thought it was 9:10, but either way, we'll go ahead and wrap up anyway. So you guys have a good one. Your next class does start at 9:20 actually. So you have a 10-minute break
Uh,
today. But this is the last time we'll use this schedule anyway, so maybe I can stop getting it confused.
hopefully.
Yeah. So, all right,
Yeah,
guys, have a
see you
good
on
one.
Monday.
See you on Monday. Have a good weekend, everybody. Yeah, that one. We'll see you when we see you.